Vault Claremont 2020. Hello my fellow gods and goddesses, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today we will be doing my April wrap-up. So April was just the month of gays and depression. It was actually a pretty good reading month in terms of ratings. I read 9 books, which is the least amount of books I think I have read since starting my channel, and 9 books is still like great. I thought I was only gonna read like 3. So I'm pretty proud of myself. Low-key, I've kind of realized that when I'm depressed, I rate things higher. So we have a bunch of 5 stars and it's a great time. Alright, so we're just gonna go over my stats real quick. Like I said, I have a lot of higher rated stuff, but I do have 1 2.5 star, 2 3-star, 3 4-star, and 3 5-star. So I don't have any 1-star ratings, which is great. We're just going to go by the order of books I read because I am not organized enough to do it in ascending or descending order. Okay? Alright, the first book I read this month was Sadie by Courtney Summers. I listened to the audiobook for this because duh. And it was really, really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a fascinating story, super fast paced. I pretty much listened to it all in one sitting. I was very much uncomfortable listening to the story, which is obviously the point. If you guys somehow haven't read this book and don't know what the book is about, it's basically a mystery following this girl whose sister was murdered, and she is trying to find her killer. And it is kind of told in 2 perspectives. You follow Sadie, who is the older sister, and you follow this kind of podcast investigator guy who is following Sadie's trace. I really enjoyed it. I thought the sister dynamics was very interesting, and I honestly could very much relate to their sister dynamic because me and my sister, if you guys don't know, I have a little sister. She is 7. We are 13 years apart and we are not very close at all. Like, you would think we were like 2 months apart, the amount we don't get along, but of course I still love her to death and I would kill a bitch if anything happened to her. So I definitely I appreciated the different kind of complicated sister dynamics that was presented in this book, and overall I just thought it was a good story and I highly recommend the audiobook. Again, this is one of those really hyped booktube books, so I'm sure you guys have read it, and if you guys haven't read it yet, I'm sure you guys have it on your TBR, and I highly recommend it as a super quick read. I feel like this would be a really good book to read or listen to if you're in a slump, because again, it's just really quick, fast paced, and I enjoyed myself. The next book I read is one that I have been hyping up quite a bit on my Twitter and in this month's vlogs, and that is 4-Day Queens by Astrid Schultz. I think that's how you pronounce it. Maybe. Who knows, honestly. Obviously, I'm not a proper booktuber to actually look up the pronunciations of these names because we don't know professionalism. Who is she? And I don't exactly know what genre to put this in because it's not fantasy because there's no magic, but it's not sci-fi like I have been pitched it as. Like fantasy with sci-fi elements. Anyways, let me just tell you what the fuck the book is about, and let's debate over the genre placement later. 4-Day Queens follows multiple perspectives. You get the perspective of each of the 4 queens, and you also follow this girl as she is kind of trying to uncover this mystery of what is going on. And I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil it. Honestly, just like go into this book knowing as little as possible and you're good. I am a sucker for a queen trope. I know some people aren't a fan of it, especially because it's like kind of oversaturated. I don't think so because I love it so much. If you loved Three Dark Crowns, or if you didn't like Three Dark Crowns, highly recommend this book because it was better than Three Dark Crowns and it had similar aesthetics and I very much loved it so much. Highly recommend. I really hope that Astrid kind of revisits this world eventually because this is a standalone, which was really fun too. It was just all around an amazing, fantastical read, and I just highly recommend it because it was just amazing, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Probably more of like a 4, 4.5, but it's a 5 for me, so fight me.
I don't care about my haters, and if you want to fight me, then fight me.
We've gotten to that point of the video where it's time for Heather to yell at the camera, and the next book I read was And I Darken by Kirsten White. This is a Vlad the Impaler retelling, but it's a gender-bent version, so it's about Lotta. And okay, little historical background here. Alright, so in the Ottoman Empire, it was a very common practice for Ottoman sultans to take young princes from their occupied countries, and it was just a tactic to ensure loyalty and all that stuff. And Lotta and her brother Radu are in this book are taken captives in a way. So the first half of this book follows Lotta, Radu, and Mehmed, who is the Ottoman prince, as they kind of grow up together. It's very much following their childhood. And honestly, the first half of the book literally did not have to exist at all. I was already so incredibly bored. And then the second half, all of that character development, I say that incredibly loosely because there is honestly backwards character development in this, especially with Lotta. All of that goes to shit when Lotta hits puberty, and all of a sudden the horny teenage hormones just skyrocket. Lotta is the epitome of small dick energy. And I preface saying small dick energy not to be misogynistic, unlike Lotta in this book. Like, she only sees men as powerful figures, and she herself wants to be, like, wants to become that. And I just don't like her motives. I don't like her reasoning. I've been told that it gets better in the trilogy, but that to me is something that goes beyond character development in my opinion. It just leaves a really bad taste in my mouth. Like, the misogyny really popped out, and it is not internalized. It is very much present here, right in front of your face, and I don't like it at all. The way she just completely disregards her identity for Dick, but then continuously knocks herself down and other females around her for having desires. It's so hypocritical. It's just really gross. Read an Ottoman history book, and you will have way more enjoyment doing that than reading this. People are not exaggerating when they say this book is boring. And what a shame, because look at how gorgeous this damn cover is, honestly. Yeah, I gave this a 2.5. I hate Lotta. The next book I read was Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. I did a whole dedicated video to this book, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. I will just link it up here. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked the plot. I really liked the characters. I really liked the representation. The ending just sucked really bad, in my opinion. But it is another thriller horror book, and it's basically about mermaids and like real life mermaids, and again, Not going to talk about it because I'm making you watch my video, you know, get that self-promo. Yeah. The next thing I read was Death Note Volume 1 by Sugumi Oba. I very much enjoyed this. I watched the anime a really long time ago. It was pretty much exactly like the anime. I'm hoping it gets some differentiation. Is that a word? Who the fuck knows? It is now. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I just love this world so much. The philosophical debates that goes into it, the moral dilemmas, the discussions is just, it's one of my favorite things about reading books. If you guys don't know what Death Note is about, I doubt you guys don't, but if you don't, Death Note is about this guy named Light Yagami, and he is basically this like star student. He's like straight A student, top of his class, and he finds a Death Note, and a Death Note is basically a book of the Shinigami. The Shinigami are death gods, and when you write a name in a Death Note, the person dies. And so you just go through Light as he, you know, does things with this Death Note, and there is drama and investigations that ensue, and it's just a grand old time. If you guys haven't watched the anime, if you haven't read the manga, y'all need to get on that because it's so good. The next book I read was Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. I loved the shit out of this book. Wicked Saints is a Russian Slavic inspired fantasy. It follows this girl named Nadia, and she is a cleric, and she is able to talk to the entire pantheon of gods, and they like communicate with her and they give her powers, kind of taking place in this war-bound region. But Nadia is from Kalazin. They have their gods, their pantheon of gods, and they are at war with Trinazian. Yes. Emily put up a pronunciation guide, and she did such a great job and put in so much effort, but I'm a lazy ass bitch, so I'm not gonna look at it. Unsubscribe if you want. It's fine. I understand. And they are a secular country, and basically they have been at war for centuries. And Nadia hates them, obviously, because she thinks that they are heretics, and they are also blood mages. A majority of the citizens there are blood mages. In the beginning of the book, Nadia's monastery is attacked by Trinavian soldiers, including the Trinavian prince, and just a bunch of drama ensues. We follow the perspective of Nadia and Zarafin, who is the Trinavian prince. We see a few other casts of characters. There is a hate-to-love relationship in here. Very much a dark and gory story, extremely gothic. If you have any grievances with blood, cutting, self-harm, proceed with caution, because honestly, it can get a bit graphic sometimes. Like, even me, like at the beginning, while I was getting used to it, I was like a little like, But I kind of got used to it, and I got like accustomed to it. But yeah, it's worth it though. So if you can handle it, highly recommend. Malekiash can fucking take me on a really nice date and go to church afterwards. The ending was a bit rushed. It could have been clearer, but I feel like the trilogy as a whole is going to be incredible. And although this book didn't quite meet the mark, even though I gave this 5 out of 5 stars because I loved it, I think the series as a whole will be incredible once we understand everything and it kind of comes full circle. The next book I read, oh boy, was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Again, I'm going to link my reading vlog for this. It's the same reading vlog where I finished Wicked Saints, so if you want to see more cohesive thoughts because clearly I have problems with that. Daisy Jones and the Six, I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I was very thoroughly disappointed in this book because it was overhyped and no one warned me that it wasn't going to live up to the hype. I only get pissed off with overhyped books that nobody warns me going in that I won't like X, Y, and Z. For example, nobody told me this book sucked. I hated this book, and I did a rant review on this book because I had such strong feelings. If somebody warned me going in that Kath was going to be trash, I probably wouldn't have hated her that much because I would have expected it. Same with Daisy motherfucking Jones. So many of y'all stan this bitch. And I am using very strong language here. The censorship has left the chat. She's never been in the chat to begin with, but she's especially gone now. She is the most garbage person in the entire planet. You can fight me, you can try to fight me, you can block me, you can mute me, I don't care. It won't change the fact that she is literally the fucking worst. Like, she is the most entitled, spoiled brat in all of literary history. Although the story as a whole was enjoyable, again, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I listened to the audiobook. It was very fast-paced. Listened to it all in one day. Although it's not the word of God that everybody is fucking praising it to be. It's just a normal-ass audiobook. Calm the fuck down. But it was good. Like, the acting was good. It was a full cast. That was fine. The story was fine. It just didn't do it for me. Don't necessarily regret reading it. I definitely think I didn't need to, though. It didn't add anything to my life, let's just say that. Honestly, it probably reduced my lifespan over how much fury I have enacted on this book, but, you know, to each their own. The next book I read was Goddess of the Hunt by Shelby Eileen. This is a poetry collection, and it is basically a character study on the goddess Artemis, and it's an asexual interpretation of the goddess, and there are a couple other goddesses that make an appearance, but it is a lot about coming to one's identity. Very much enjoyed this. I highlighted quite a few quotes. I believe this is Own Voices. I'm almost certain it is, but I don't know of Shelby's identity completely, so I can't be 100% sure. I think she's at least queer in some capacity. She is somewhere in the LGBTQ plus spectrum, and she is also plus size, so there's a lot of body images in there, and overall I just thought this was a very well-rounded poetry collection, and I enjoyed it. Like, you guys know I love me some Greek myths. Anything related to the Greeks, I'm all for it. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Appreciated it. If you are in any way on the ace spectrum, highly recommend this poetry collection because I feel like it would give you a lot of validation and, you know, help you further understand your own identity. At least I hope it would. And the last book I read was for the Trashback Book Club, and that is Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I did not expect to like this as much as I did. Honestly, I almost gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Genuinely so happy to actually get a female character that had personality and hobbies outside of dick. So that was just a really fun time. As always with these Trashback picks, I'm not going to talk about it because, again, self-promo. I want you guys to watch the live show. Tag it up there. If you guys want to see me and Carrie's full thoughts on this book, go check it out. It was a fun time. She was drinking some wine. I was drinking some Arizona peach tea. It was a fun time. go check it out. Alright, you guys, so that is the end of this wrap up. Sorry if it was a bit low energy. I'm going through it right now with school and shit, so I apologize. Hopefully next month will be a whole lot better because the second half of the month I will be out of school, so I'll be reading a shit ton. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!